John, what's up, brother? How can I help?
Alrighty, I'm just calling to talk. I'm just worried about my dad. I'm worried mainly about his physical and mental health.
Okay.
So starting with physical, he's obese, probably pushing 400 pounds. We just got told he has high blood pressure, and over the last few years, he's kept trying to go on diets, and he does well for about a month or two, and then we just can't get him to follow along. So I just want to get your advice on how maybe to kind of push him along and, I don't know, inspire him or get him to follow through and lose some weight, because I'm 22 and I'm kind of worrying at this point. I really want my kids to have grandkids, to have a grandfather one day. So
yeah, that's a beautiful why, man. Good for you. Well, first I want to shout you out, dude. I appreciate you loving your old man. And to all the dads out there that are eating or drinking or lonelying or depressing or anxietying themselves into tighter and tighter circles of loneliness, I want you to know that whether they can say it or not in the right way, your sons and daughters love you and they miss you and they want you around for their kids. They want you to be a granddad. So, John, thank you for verbalizing that in a way that so many people your age just don't know how to do, right? So, I've got two quick answers for you before I just pop off and give those to you. Tell me about your dad. Where did he come from? What did his childhood look like?
How he explains it, he had a really fun and exciting childhood. He had a lot of friends growing up, and now we've kind of moved around a little bit, and I guess he really doesn't have many friends. He has friends, but he doesn't go to see them.
How's his marriage?
Yeah.
Is he still married?
Oh yeah. Him and my mom have a great marriage.
So, what does your mom say about his weight?
She tries to push him a lot, and we all talk to him about it. She says, "Yeah, I'm going to get on it," and then he does it, and he'll do great. I mean, like in the past 2 or 3 months, he lost probably 30 or 40 pounds, and then it was just like it just stalled out, and he's back to his old eating habits.
And have you ever talked privately with him, not in a group, but just privately? Y'all are driving somewhere, or you're having lunch together, and you just ask him, "Hey, Dad, tell me what's going on, man." Have you ever had that conversation? I know that's awkward for a 22-year-old to have with his old man, but have you ever had that conversation?
It's hard, but I've been trying a lot more and more. I've had a lot more opportunity to kind of sit down with him more often, like taking long drives in the car and whatnot. So we kind of talk about that stuff a little more, but we don't really dive super into the why it's that way.
Yeah.
But it's just always been that way for as long as I can remember.
Okay. So here's the math on this. There's a million reasons why he has allowed himself to get to be 400 pounds. It could be medical issues. It could be childhood issues. It could be relational issues that you, as his son, will never, ever know. He'll never divulge those. It could be trauma that he's hanging on to. It could be that he just loves life and he loves eating and he doesn't care, right? It could be 1,000 things. You, as an amateur investigator, it's going to end up driving a wedge in your relationship if you try to get to the root of some of those things and you spend your energy trying to figure out why. Okay?
Okay.
So here's the hard truth. You can't do anything to make your dad become a steward of his body to want to be around for your grandkids. There's nothing you can do. I do have one Hail Mary that I think would be an honorable thing for you to do that would give you some peace and that would give him an opportunity to hear you. And what I would recommend doing is I'm going to add a second step to something I recommend everybody do, right? I'm always telling people to write letters to somebody, but I want you to spend some time this holiday season by yourself. And I want you to write a letter to your dad, and really it's going to be a love letter. I want you to talk about how much you care about him, how much you are so thankful that he ended up, out of all the people in the world, he ended up your old man, that he's the kind of guy that you can't wait for your kids that you don't even have yet to meet him. I want it to be a love letter to your old man, one that is respectful and kind. And then here's the next step. And this is going to be hard, okay? Are you still with me?
Yes, sir.
I want you to read it to him out loud.
Okay.
I want you to do that in a private setting. I don't want you to embarrass him. Don't do it at dinner. Don't do it at a public restaurant. Don't do it in front of his wife, your mom, or the other brothers and sisters. I want you to tell him that you want to have a private conversation with him and that you love him, and you'll never fully know his full story, but you wrote him something that you want him to hear. And then when it's over, I want you to hug him as tightly as you can. And then I want you to give him that letter and tell him, I love him, I love you, and I'm glad you're my dad, and I'm always here for you, and I hope you'll always be here for us. And then this is heartbreaking, John, but that's the best you can do. Then you can love him. Nobody's ever changed a behavior in a long-term positive direction by being nagged or complained into change, right? Somebody has to look in the mirror and say, I'm worth it. And sometimes it's a different why. Sometimes it's a why for grandkids. Sometimes it's a why for the people around me. Usually, though, that sort of lifestyle change, especially, and I'm going to frame this as an addiction. Addicts don't make good long-term changes for other people. They have to decide they are worth that change. They have to. Other people can help kickstart it, man, but they've got to decide that, John. And so do something magic. And any son listening to this podcast, to this show, watching this on YouTube, any of you want to change your old man's life, you want to fill his heart up, write a letter and then read it to him. Write a letter and read it to him. It'll be the hardest thing you've ever done. It will be awkward. And it will be magic. I still remember several years ago, I met my dad in a Starbucks, and I just had to look him in the eye. I didn't write him a letter, but I told him, hey, I just need you to know you did a good job. With me, my brother, my sister, my family, you did a good job. And I watched a guy visibly lose a couple of 100 pounds right in front of me. His shoulders dropped, and he just said, man, thank you. It means the world that you told me that. And I wouldn't trade that conversation for anything. The only thing I wish I had done it way earlier. And my dad and I have had our disagreements over the years, as every father and son do. But, man, there was something special about being able to look him in the eye and tell him, I'm grateful for you. You did a good job. So, John, write that letter, have that conversation with him. And if you will honor all the listeners of this podcast, call me back, shoot me an email back, let me know how that conversation goes, your dad's response. I'd love to keep in touch with you and see how he's doing. And I'd love to see, more importantly, how you're doing and how you're going to continue to live your life moving forward in the future too.